Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to dive into what I think is one of the unsung heroes of great Android apps, WorkManager. It's that secret sauce that lets your favorite apps sync, upload, and backup data, all without completely destroying your phone's battery. Let's get into it.
We've all been there, right? You open up your battery settings, and you see some app you barely even touched today has been sipping power all day long, and you're just scratching your head like, what is going on? It's a super common frustration, and today, we're going to look at the solution. The thing is, our phones are always busy. Your apps need to do all this stuff behind the scenes just to give you that smooth experience you expect. But when all this background work is managed poorly, well, that's when you get unreliable apps and, yep, you guessed it, a dead battery.
You see, before WorkManager came along, it was kind of the Wild West for developers. They had to juggle all these different, often conflicting tools depending on what Android version you were on. It was a total mess. And that chaos made it incredibly hard to write good background tasks, which led directly to that bad user experience we all hate. And that's where our hero, WorkManager, steps onto the scene. This is Google's official modern solution. And the keywords to focus on here are deferrable, which basically means it doesn't have to happen right this second, and guaranteed, which means it will happen eventually. It's the smart, unified way to handle all that chaos.
And I absolutely love this analogy. WorkManager isn't just some dumb robot that does a task when you tell it to. It's like having a super clever assistant that doesn't just blindly follow orders, it actually looks at the whole situation and figures out the perfect moment to act, all to save resources and, respect your device.
So, WorkManager's real power comes down to a few core promises, its superpowers, if you will. First up, guaranteed execution. This is huge. It means even if you close the app or restart your phone, that job is going to run. It's also incredibly smart. It only runs when the conditions you set are just right. And because of that, it's super battery friendly. It may be the best part for developers. It works on pretty much any Android device out there with one simple API.
Okay, so how does this smart assistant, think? How does it actually work under the hood? Well, it all boils down to two really simple ideas, the what and the when. Let's break those down.
It's honestly this simple. On one hand, you have the worker. That's the actual code that does the heavy lifting. It's the what. Then you have the work request. That's where you define all the rules and instructions for the job, the how and the when. You just bundle them together and hand the whole package off to WorkManager.
But here's the thing. The real magic, the secret sauce we talked about, it's all in the constraints you add to that work request. This is the big philosophical shift. Instead of telling an app, do this now, you say, hey, here's the job, and here are the perfect conditions to do it under. And that's what turns it from a simple task runner into that smart assistant. All right, let's build one of these requests together. Let's say we want to upload a huge video file. First, we set a constraint. Don't even think about doing this unless we're on Wi-Fi. Simple. That respects the user's mobile data plan.
Okay, next up, another rule. If the user's phone is down to its last 10% of battery, now is definitely not the time for heavy lifting. So WorkManager will just wait. It's just being smart, right? Respecting the user's battery. And you know what? Let's be even smarter about this. Let's say this big upload should only happen when the device is actually plugged in and charging. That is the absolute best time to do any kind of resource-intensive work.
And finally, one last common sense check, if the phone's storage is full, what's the point of even trying? So just like that, by describing the perfect scenario, instead of forcing a specific time, we've created an incredibly robust and user-friendly background task. That is the power of constraints.
Okay, so that's the theory. But how does this all look in the real world? Let's make it concrete. We're going to imagine we're building a smart news app. So these are the goals. Pretty standard stuff for any app that wants to be a good citizen on your phone, right? It needs to stay fresh, but it also has to respect your data plan, your battery life, and it should even clean up after itself. And this brings us to another one of WorkManager's superpowers, chaining. It lets us set up a sequence of tasks that depend on each other. We can literally say, okay, first, sync the articles. Only if that works, then go and download the images. And only when that's totally done, clean up the old data. And that reliability is it's crucial. You never get into those weird situations where half the job is done, where you have images for articles that never actually synced. The chain guarantees the order of operations, which prevents errors and keeps the app's data perfectly consistent.
So what's the payoff for all this smart thinking? Well, take a look at this. An app doing the exact same work but without the intelligence of WorkManager could drain around 8% of a phone's battery in a day. But with WorkManager's smart scheduling and constraints, look at that. It drops all the way down to just 2%.
Let's just boil that down to one single number. That's a 75% reduction in battery drain. For a user, that's literally the difference between an app they love and an app they uninstall because it kills my battery. Folks, that is why this stuff matters.
All right, so let's zoom out and wrap this up. What's the big takeaway here? What does all this really mean for the apps we use every day? I mean, it is a win-win-win across the board. For developers, they get this amazing tool that just makes their lives easier. For us, the users, we get apps that are way more reliable and don't feel like they're actively fighting our battery. And that all adds up to a better, healthier experience for everyone on Android.
Now, it's also really important to know what WorkManager is not for. It's a specialized tool. It's perfect for that deferrable work we talked about, like syncing or backups, but it is absolutely the wrong tool for anything that needs to happen right now, or at a very specific time, or something the user is actively watching happen. For those cases, Android has other tools that are much better suited for the job.
And this quote, man, it just says it all, doesn't it? The whole goal isn't to show off how much work your app is doing. The goal is to do it so intelligently and so efficiently that the user never ever has to think about it. It just works.
So I'm going to leave you with a final thought. The next time your photos are magically backed up overnight or your favorite app has fresh content waiting for you in the morning, just take a second. Appreciate that invisible, intelligent work happening behind the scenes, because there's a really good chance that a smart tool, something just like WorkManager, is the invisible hero making it all possible. Thanks so much for joining me.